So this is basically how I do a POV drawing. These days I rarely start with a pencil pre-sketch. I just go straight in with pen. Also, I start with the immediate foreground. You'll notice that I'm using a Winsor Newton Fineliner pen, and I'm not holding it at the very tip like the precision grip that we kind of associate with writing, but I'm holding it a little bit higher up the barrel. The reason being that I feel like having a little bit less control is actually kind of liberating in terms of the spontaneity and the other sort of desirable line qualities you can get with it. And the other reason for this is just because it's easier for the camera to see when I'm drawing, and that's not a bad thing. And you'll notice that I start foreground to background and sort of work my way out into the space, kind of trying to latch on to relationships between objects that help sort of strengthen the way the eye travels from the foreground to the background. I already have an idea sort of mentally how this is going to read visually because I've done so many of these, but it never hurts to do an underdrawing if it's something you're not comfortable doing immediately with pen and ink. At this point, I've done hundreds of these and literally thousands of pen and ink sketches, so my comfort level with the medium is hopefully pretty high at this point. So I don't mind sort of diving right in. Now this Airbnb living room, I actually rented specifically. I was checking out lots and lots of different Airbnb profiles, but I rented this one specifically to do these drawings, which gives you a little bit of insight into the depths of my obsession. So here I am starting with my water brush. I wanted to briefly talk about this. I use these refillable water brushes, which are plastic brushes that contain a water reservoir inside. And some people use them with clean water inside and use them to do watercolor on the go, sort of dipping into dry watercolor pans or what have you. But I like to put a little bit of diluted Noodler's Lexington gray ink in there. So it's mostly water and some gray ink. It's a technique I learned from the urban sketcher Ed Mosley when I met him in Manchester in 2016 at the Urban Sketcher Symposium, and I've been using it ever since. It was sort of revolutionary. It saves me a lot of hatching. I still do a lot of cross hatching, but it's nice to have a second method of laying down value and laying down value quickly. The Noodler's Lexington gray ink dries pretty quickly, and then it doesn't basically re-wet and become workable again once it's dry, so you can go back over and get even darker and darker layers. And as you see, I sort of add all of the values last, so I do the washes and the various hatching and stuff like that at the end. And this is what I came up with. I think this is about 3 or 4 hours of work spread out across maybe 4 or 5 sessions where I took a lot of breaks.